Good evening, everyone. Let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. All right, it is great to be here with you this evening. We have a great crowd here with us in person. We have some that are joining us via live stream. So we are very excited about the second of our DPS Crown Week events, Off the Top, Kings and Their Crowns, a Conversation. Please give a round of applause for the students, the panelists who are joining us here this evening for this event. Round of applause. So this evening, we will engage in an authentic and transformative conversation about the impact of hair discrimination and hair culture on boys and men of color, while celebrating the hair journeys that we have chosen to embark upon. I am Dr. Daniel Kelvin Bullock. I'm the Executive Director for Equity and Professional Learning for Durham Public Schools, and I will be serving as your host for tonight's event. Before we get into our program, there are a few things that we ask you to keep in mind. First, since this is an in-person town hall style event, we are asking that you are present with us and engage in this conversation that we're going to be having throughout the night. There will be opportunities for you to share your questions and comments towards the end of the program. Next, although this topic may evoke a variety of emotions for you, we also want to center and celebrate joy around Black hair and hair for people of color. So we invite you to reflect, learn, and express your own joy. That's why we had the music playing earlier. We want to be in a joyful mood and in a mood of celebration for Crown Act Week. As we hear the stories that resonate with you, feel free to snap, clap, whatever comes to your spirit that you want to celebrate what you're hearing. The resolution, the Crown Act resolution that the Durham Public Schools Board of Education has adopted, the core belief of it is in a student-centered approach for an educational experience that is caring, culturally responsive, and embraces the whole child. And it calls on all students, educators, and community members to observe the week to advance efforts to end hair discrimination and to create a more equitable and inclusive beauty experience where students and employees are affirmed and can express themselves in a brave and positive way. To further commemorate this act of resolution, at this time, I would like to invite our board members who are here from the Durham Public Schools Board of Education to the stage, and they are going to read the DPS Crown resolution for us. So I think we have a few representatives here, and if they could just enter the stage through the door over here, that would be great. We are so excited to have a Board of Education that is supportive of this type of initiative, that is supportive of creating a culture and climate where we seek to eliminate all forms of discrimination in our school system. But this evening, we particularly highlight our efforts to end hair discrimination. At this time, I'm going to yield to our board members, and they are going to share on the Crown Act resolution.
Good evening, everyone. I am here with my colleagues. It is an honor to share and elevate this wonderful resolution, but I want to give some remarks from one of our esteemed, beloved board members who has worked so hard, who has made sure that in every step of the way in her leadership, she represents the wonderful diversity of students that we have, and especially when it comes to Crown Act. Our board member, Giovanni Lewis, who could not be here with us, but she's here in spirit, and she's also very much tuned in to everything that is happening tonight. And we do know that she's celebrating in this. So let me read this piece that our esteemed beloved board member shared with us. It is with great pleasure that we present the Crown Act resolution that was first passed in 2021 by our Durham Public Schools Board of Education. The Crown Act resolution was formulated by board member Giovanni Lewis, and our Board of Education gave unanimous support. My beloved colleague Giovanni Lewis isn't able to be at the celebration in person, but she asked me to come in her place and read asked us to read the resolution out loud so that everyone truly understands the values that we hold and why this work is so important. We appreciate the Office of Equity Affairs and Professional Development and all the departments involved. And we also thank the Multilingual Resource Center for ensuring that we have interpretation for tonight. Before I pass it on to my colleagues to read the resolution, I just want to share that my heart is just full. I was here on Tuesday, and I am telling you, this is medicine. This is real medicine, and we need to share the word, even for those who could not make it tonight. Let nothing be a barrier to sharing the good message, this message that honors the ancestors, honors, the legacy, the DNA, the features, that our precious students have that come from the ancestors and come from all our lineages. And so I honor the lineage. I honor the diaspora. I honor the ways that we have all been touched by the work that has been done for us, generations and generations and generations past. And even today, we continue to see that legacy present in our beautiful youth. And this is an important piece of all that, honoring the legacies, honoring those who are here carrying the torch and changing the world and doing great things. So I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Millicent, and have her read the resolution.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for being here. Crown Act Week Resolution. Durham Public Schools expressing support for the designation of the week of March 1st through the 7th, 2023. Whereas the coalition of the Crown Act wants all beauty to be welcome in all places and institutions. They assert that narrow beauty standards make it difficult for women to freely celebrate their own beauty. While all women experience pressure to conform to certain standards of appearance, Black women are disproportionately impacted by the Eurocentric standards that so often define what is beautiful. And whereas research has shown that society's bias has resulted in unfair judgment and discrimination against Black women based on their hair texture, and protective hairstyles, including braids, locks, and twists that are cultural representations of their race. And whereas in the US, the law in many states does not currently afford protection for race-based hair discrimination, even if the hairstyle is inherent to racial identity. It means Black children can be denied entry to school or educational opportunities because of their natural hair. This is not okay. And whereas the Crown Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, is a law that prohibits discrimination based on hair texture and hairstyle, the coalition of the Crown Act's mission was and is today to advance efforts to end hair discrimination and to create a more equitable and inclusive beauty experience for Black women and girls. And whereas the Durham City Council elected officials have passed a non-discrimination ordinance of the City of Durham and assert that the general purpose of this chapter is to provide individuals within the City of Durham freedom from discrimination in connection with housing, employment, and public accommodation because of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, familial status, military status, sexual orientation, gender identity, and protected hairstyles to promote harmony in human relations and to prevent commercial advantage from unethical practices. Whereas one of Durham Public Schools' core beliefs is in a child-centered approach in which our students deserve an education that is caring, is culturally responsive, and embraces the whole child. Durham Public Schools insists on addressing the social, emotional, and academic needs of each student. And whereas Durham Public Schools has a dress code policy that reads, the primary goal of Durham Public Schools is to provide a safe learning environment where all students are able to achieve at their highest potential. Ideally, students should be able to dress and style their hair for school in a manner that expresses their individuality without fear of unnecessary discipline, or body shaming. Whereas the Crown Coalition offers a platform that uplifts support to end hair discrimination, and they continue to galvanize support for legislation to end hair discrimination federally and in all 50 states. The Crown petition has over 248,000 signatures so far. And Durham Public Schools Board of Education supports signing this petition. And therefore, be it resolved that the Durham Public Schools Board of Education supports the designation of February 28th through March 3rd, 2023 as the Crown Act Week across all Durham Public Schools, and calls on all students, educators, and community members to observe the week to advance efforts to end hair discrimination and to create a more equitable and inclusive beauty experience for Black women and girls, where students are affirmed and can express themselves in a safe and positive way. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Durham Public Schools Board of Education encourages administrators to support educators across grade levels and content areas from their buildings to acknowledge the Crown Act Week and use resources that are inclusive of all of our diverse learners in order to support the whole child, healthy identity development and affirmation, and show support and acceptance for students showing up without fear or of discrimination or shame. This, the 9th day of February, 2023.
All right, another round of applause for our Board of Education members. We are so thankful for them and for this resolution. And actually at this time, so we have 4 board members who were able to join us this evening, and we're thankful for all of our board members for their support of the Crown Act and the Crown Resolution. I also want to at this time acknowledge if there are any other elected officials who are here with us, we would love for you to stand for us to acknowledge your presence also. All right, just wanted to do that check. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to move forward with our program. So the Crown Act, again, it was created in 2019 by Dove and the Crown Coalition to ensure protection against against discrimination based on race-based hairstyles by extending statutory protection to hair texture and protective styles such as braids, locks, twists, and knots in the workplace and in public schools. In February of 2021, that's when we had our Board of Education do our initial unanimous passing of a resolution. And our hope is that this event will illuminate Black boys and men's experiences with natural hair in various educational and professional settings, and affirm the beauty, power, and resilience of hair from across the African diaspora, and truly highlight the importance of the Crown Act and what made its creation necessary. Today, we will talk with a panel of men of color from the Durham Public Schools community who will share their stories, experiences, and perspectives about the impact of hairstyle choices, redefining masculinity, and individual and collective impact and responsibility. At this time, we are going to have a spoken word performance by an alumni of Durham Public Schools and also a teacher here in Durham Public Schools, Miss Kayla Beckett. Once again, round of applause for Miss Beckett.
Clippers buzz. I like some off the top with a fade on the side. Conversation and consideration runs rampant in the shop until a young boy says, They made me cut off my hair. They made me cut off my hair. The men say, who's they, son? They are the teachers, the coaches, the principals, the classmates, societal pressures, those, them, they made me do it. I'm under pressure to be everything that everyone expects me to be, while also trying not to be everything that everybody expected me to be. They made me cut it off. The locks that I've grown for years, the fro that I started since middle school, the cornrows and braids that I've always worn since a child. They said that it was unprofessional. They said it was unkempt, unfair, that the things that grow out of my scalp is the hair that is coily and curly and swervy and wavy. They said that my hair was nappy and woolly and unbrushed and untamed. They think that it is a beast. They think that I am a beast to be tamed because of my hair. They don't know that we buy brushes and pomades and oils and lock gel and do-rags and plastic bags even for our waves. They don't understand that we have a difference between an S curl and a Jerry curl and a relaxer and a texturizer. They don't even understand that we use products to put on because we gotta be putting it on. I be getting designs in my cut. I be doing the skunk stripe all in it. I be getting the patterned braids and the fade combo. And even back in high school, when Dr. Bullock had a high top fade, I wanted to be just like him. But they said it was too distracting. They said it was too distracting and drastic. So they made me cut off my hair. As the clippers glided against my skull, the hair fell on my shoulders and smock, and my tears fell right along with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Beckett. Another round of applause. Let's go for that beautiful performance. You know, as we have these conversations about hair, like, again, we want to be in a spirit of celebration in this place tonight, but at the same time, we know that there can be difficulties in these journeys also. There can be challenges. There can be times where people look at you and question whether or not you should wear your hair that way. And so last week, in preparing for our session today, a few of us had the opportunity to come together in the barbershop that we have here at Holton Career and Resource Center. And we just shared some thoughts and some ideas about our hair journeys. So at this time, we're going to transition from that performance into this promotional piece that we put together. And so we're going to take a few minutes to view this video, our promo for tonight's event. And following that, we're going to transition into our conversation today, which will feature some of our educators and some of our students here in the school system. So with that, I'm going to pause and we're going to share our promotional video for this evening's event. So with that, at this time, we are going to bring up our panelists, and we're going to hear a little bit from them about what they think about these topics. So as I introduce you, actually panelists, if you could go ahead and start making your way to the stage, I'll start with the introductions. We will have joining us on the panel, and I'm going to ask if he will go to the farthest seat, Michael Aguirre, who is a senior at Riverside High School and also a student who is taking barbering here at Holton Career and Resource Center. Michael. We have Mr. Daryl Bradshaw, who is an assistant principal at Riverside High School. Mr. Bradshaw. Next, we have Mario Little, who was featured in the video that you just saw. He's a CTE barbering teacher here at Performance Learning Center. We have Dr. Julius Monk, who is our Deputy Superintendent of Operational Services for Durham Public Schools. Dr. Monk. And last but certainly not least, we have Kellen Stallings, who is a senior at Durham School of Technology. Mr. Stallings. All right, so for this portion of the program, we invite you all to sit back and engage with us. All of our panelists have their microphones. We ask that you please wait until panelists and co-moderators are finished before chiming in so that you don't miss anything, but we will have a question and answer time at the end. At this point, we're going to just kick things off, and I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start with, I'll start here with Kellen actually. Briefly describe your hair journey and how it has impacted the way you live and or work today. Kellen?
Y'all can hear me? My name is Kellen Stallings, and I'm a senior at Durham School of Technology, as Mr. Bullitt said. And I'd just like to say that I didn't start my hair journey until my sophomore year, going to my high school career. And when I started it, I just started off with starter twists, starter locks, and now my hair is in braids, as you can see. And I just like to say the impact that my hair had on me was it brought confidence to me and had me express my personality better than what I used to.
We're going in line in order. I'm a little nervous. It feel like an interrogation scene. You got the lights on and everything, but I'm trying my best. Oh, so like I said in the video, I started my journey whenever I started my doctoral program. It it wasn't anything like spiritual, anything like that. I just wanted to see how long my hair was going to grow over the course of 4 years. And then whenever I decided to lock it up, I kind of liked it. And so I've grown it for the past 4 years. As a matter of fact, I locked it up about a month before starting to work with Durham Public Schools. I felt that working here, it would be something that was accepted. So I think that that speaks volumes to how your employer treats their employees, so that they feel comfortable in expressing themselves while they're out there trying to, just make a living for their families.
Thank you.
Is that a trick question for me with no hair? My journey started, and I've been growing hair. I fell in love with hair probably when I was 12, 13 years old, when I went in a barber shop in Camp Springs, Maryland. And the barber that cut my hair was the coolest person that I ever met in my life. And I said, that's the person that I want to be. The way he impacted my life and the way he impacted everybody that came in the barbershop life just changed my life. So as I said in the video, I've had waves, I've had the Gumby, I've had a box, I've had a rat tail. I'm aging myself. I had cornrows, I had dreadlocks for 10 years plus. I never did have the Cisco cherry red blonde though. I never tried that. Never tried the cherry red blonde, but how it has impacted me is I started growing locks for the sole purpose of changing the image of the people that I came in contact with how they view men of color with locks. So when I would walk around with my locks, I would get all different, depending on where I was at and what I had on. If I had on a sweatsuit, it would be, what's up, man? You got some trees. If I had on a suit leaving from church or something, it was, how you doing, sir? So just the image period changes from where you are and the type of people that you're around. So I just wanted to show people that, hey, you could be a man of color and have locks and still be about your business and be whoever it is that you want to be. So.
Hello, everyone. So I would say my hair journey began when I was younger, looking at my father. My dad was a person that was in finance, so he was always clean cut, always shaved. So growing up, that was my idea of what together looked like. So as I grew up, I kind of emulated that same thing. Like if I didn't have a haircut, I felt, less than the best. If I didn't have, waves, or if I didn't have a lineup, I would always wear a hat. We see our students go through the same exact thing. Our esteem comes from how well put together we are. And oftentimes our hair means a lot. As I kind of went through high school and got into college, going to University of Kentucky, my track coach was very intentional about letting me know as a young Black man what prestige looked like, right? So if we ever traveled to a different university, we had to have a haircut, right? We had to wear a suit. We had to make sure that we traveled and we all looked quote unquote polished. So what that did for me is like, it made me understand that my natural state was not polished, right? It kind of makes sure that you understand that as you grow naturally, there are components of yourself that you have to critique so that you're accepted universally. So what that does to a young man, it says that I have to be a certain way all the time in order for me to be accepted. As I grew out of college and went into finance first at Bank of America, being very young, I was very intentional on making sure I always had a haircut. I didn't have a beard. And as Black men, when you shave, razor bumps happen, right? So I was 25 years old, crazy razor bumps coming to work. But at the same time, I wasn't getting the same amount of clients that my colleagues were getting. And I couldn't understand why. And I asked my manager, I'm like, what can I do, to kind of, get more clients, more clientele, so on and so forth. And he said, buy a better suit, right, and get a barber, right? So what I thought was good enough still was not good enough. And if you guys remember 2015, we had, Philando Castile, the shootings and the police involved, all of that, all those things. I had to go to work with this on my heart, knowing that I was constantly assimilating every day so that I didn't have that target. I didn't have that stigma of being a certain type of Black man in America. But that's one of the reasons why I went into education, because I understood that I was, in a way, compromising myself every day. So I left finance and came into education where I've been welcomed. I have the platform to make sure that young Black men understand their importance organically, and just making sure that that history is definitely perpetuated so that they feel strongly about themselves no matter where they are.
Uh, like Mr. Little said and Mr. Bradshaw, my hair journey started when I was younger. I was always into my hair, always being able to look presentable in front of people, coming home after the barbershop, with a fresh, clean cut, side part, making sure my hair was nicely parted and comb over. Um, I always thought that's how you had to be um, in public places, just nicely well put together, presented. But then as I grew up, started getting into high school, I just cared less about what people thought about my hair. So I started wearing my hair to the front, just letting it do its thing, honestly. Um, yeah, that's it.
Thank you for that. Thank you. My next question is, have you always loved your hair? Like we share some things about our hair journey and where it started. And I may start with Dr. Monk with this one because also in the promo you shared a specific example of an educator kind of calling you out in a negative way regarding your hair. So just share a little bit about your love for your hair, what that has looked like over time, and any struggles or victories along with your hair journey.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would say that the simple answer is no, because if any of you ever had your mama try to comb your hair in between her legs, there's no love there at all. But yeah, so and it's one of the things that I look back on in my childhood as something that I just carried with me all the way through adulthood. I've written about it before. I talked about not only how embarrassing it was for me in front of my friends, because for the younger guys in here, this is before it looked cool to have the sponge look with the knots and stuff. It wasn't always like that. And if someone said that your hair was nappy, that was a very, very negative connotation with your peers. And for me, as I reflected as an adult, I was like, wow, that actually, I pushed it on to my mother, like, because your mom never let you go out of the house looking any kind of way. And if this person was looking at me and seeing that, then she wasn't even talking about me alone. She was also talking about what type of mother I had. At least that's how I internalized it. So I think it's very important how we speak to our youth, especially those who may not have the same physical attributes as the person that's standing in front of them. And I think it's also important, though, that our youth get to see the men that are sitting up here today, to see that, there's various ways to express yourself and to wear your hair, and it's okay.
Kellen, I'm actually gonna toss that question to you also. Like, have you always loved your hair, and what has been your relationship and any struggles or victories along the way?
Like you said, there has been some struggles with my hair, and at some times there has been times where I thought I shouldn't have started to grow out my hair. I should have just stayed with the same old brush cut. Because when I first started my hair journey, I always got made fun of, saying like, why you do this, why you do that, that doesn't look right. And at that time, I didn't feel like the way I was presenting myself was what a Black young man should present himself as. So at that time, I was thinking, I'm gonna just cut my hair off. I'm gonna go back to brush cut. But I had supportive people around me, like my friends and my mother, and they would tell me, you gotta be you, express yourself, and don't let anybody tell you different. Be the young man that you want to be. And I really appreciate them for how they just stood by my side through all the ups and downs.
Let's give it up for the support system. Let's give it up for the support system for his mom, for all of his friends, the people that were around him. And think about it in a school context. Like how important is it that we are creating schools and spaces that are supportive of, our students and their growth as young people. So let's give it up again for his support system. The next question I'm going to Michael, I'd like for you to kick it off. Some people say that hair is all about expression. I'd like for you to share in what ways have you used your hair to express who you are and promote hair joy? So how do you use your hair to share a little bit about who you are?
I use it a lot in the barbershop, actually, in the barbering program that I'm enrolled to. I use my hair as I try to show positive influence, and I try to encourage my clients, the kids that I cut, that it's okay to wear their natural hair. It's a way to show appreciation for the hair that they were given. They're able to express themselves more freely. And that I'm nervous.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, I try to have a positive impact. Other people choose to have a negative impact, I guess, but whoever I'm cutting, I try to encourage them to wear their hair, to be real, to be authentic, to show off who they are as a person.
Michael, beautiful answer about not only how you have internalized your own hair joy, but how you instill that in others, in your clients as a young barber. So hats off to you for instilling that hair joy in others. All right, Michael, you're good. You're good. Like, yeah, be comfortable. We're in the barbershop of sorts. All right. Mr. Little, if you can share a little bit about, hair as an expression and ways you use your hair to express who you are. You shared a little bit about this earlier, but also how you promote hair joy.
I guess I'm gonna piggyback off of Mike. Unfortunately, I don't have too much hair joy now with a bald head. But I do try to provide, other options for gentlemen, teaching them about, beard grooming and being yourself. For a long time, it was, not the norm for men to wear beards, and then the beards just took off, and everybody wants to have a beard and look wild and unruly, and it's accepted and it's okay. But just making sure that they are liberated and they are free to be free thinkers. I've always thought outside the box, even as a kid. I'm used to being a misfit. The world has trained our brains to believe that a misfit is something wrong or something bad. But I don't have to be like everybody else. I'm not a circle, I'm a square. So why am I trying to force my square peg in a circle hole? It's never gonna work out. So I'm cool with just being a square. I'm cool with being on the outside looking in. So sort of like Mikey, I try to impart that into everybody that I cut. Look, what would you like to have whenever you sit down in my chair? Whatever you think looks nice, it looks nice. If you like it, I love it. That's my go-to line. If you like it, I love it. So I'm always about promoting good energy, good vibes, and liberation of whoever sits in my chair, whoever I come in contact with.
I love it. Liberation, and you like it. I love it. Just the different ways in which we can affirm our young men of color. And it's beautiful to hear that how that's happening in your classroom and how it's happening in classrooms across the district. Actually, Mr. Bradshaw, for our next question, in what ways, you shared a little bit about this in your experiences growing up, and particularly you mentioned, being in sports and having to get haircuts and then going into the corporate world. Can you share a little bit about some other ways you may have seen or experienced natural hair or Black hair being policed and or politicized?
So I was more so politicized. Throughout history, we find that when we're describing a certain type of person, right? If, like I said, we're talking about someone aggressive, or we're talking about someone that's more criminally inclined, the world shows an image, right? And that image, it's never a man of color that we all look up to. It's never a man of color that, we can kind of really relate to. It's always something that looks barbaric. It always something that's unkept or untamed. So when we find ourselves in a position where we are politicizing the way that certain people look, that's not just for that person that they're speaking to, right? That then has been projected on anyone in the world that has the same skin pigmentation or may have the same exact hair. So when we have those images that are in the world and they're used for political motivation, I find that we are also, targeted. Black men are targeted with those same images. So what it does is it kind of creates this blanket understanding of who Black men are, and we are constantly trying to fight against that. So I leave my home every day with the intention on making sure that I am a positive example of what that image may represent, right? I am making sure that the students that I work with understand that it's not our job to prove the world wrong, but it's our job to be aware of that stigma, right? And making sure that we are prepared to stand and fight against it anytime we have that opportunity. As an educator in our schools, every school I've been at, I've given haircuts to our students, right? Because I do understand how important it is to look your best, right? To feel as if, I have presented myself in the best way that I can. So anytime I do have an opportunity to coach our young Black men on their presentation, it's not saying assimilate to something else, but just be aware that you are a model of what you want to be.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's see, and I'll just open it up. Anyone else, if you would like to share about how you have seen or experienced natural hair or Black hair being policed and or politicized? Anything that comes to mind for anyone else on the panel?
Yes, I go. I recall an event where, I'm not going to name where I was at in Durham, but I was leaving from my church, bringing one of my church nephews with me. We was going to a softball game. At the time, I had, my dreadlocks. I had started growing my beard. I hadn't shaped it up. I was going through my woofing stage. Even now, I just told my students today, I'm going the whole year. I'm not putting a line on it. I'm not doing nothing. I just want to be wild. I just don't even care. I'm just going to be ungroomed. That's kind of weird coming from a barber who specializes in grooming, to be ungroomed. But I get in those modes sometime. And I was going through a neighborhood and I was driving a Cadillac at the time, and a police officer pulled me over. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything wrong. Pulled me over, asked me for my license and registrations. I complied and I said, sir, if you don't mind, could you explain to me why you pulled me over? He said, I'll be right back. He came back, handed me my license and my registration. And mind you, I had my nephew beside me, my church nephew beside me. He said, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just pulled you over because of the vehicle that you're driving and the neighborhood you're driving through. You'll be surprised how many drug dealers we catch just off of a random stop. So based off of the car that I'm driving, the hairstyle that I have, you automatically assume that I was a drug dealer. Riding with my nephew right beside me on the way to a city park to play softball with my church family. So what type of example are you showing to my nephew? Is this the world that you want to project on him, that he's going to have to grow up and he's going to have to look a certain way so he's not harassed based off of his personal choices with his hair, with the car that he drives, or anything like that? So that's one of the events that I have faced.
Thank you for sharing that. And unfortunately, I feel like many of us could share examples of racial profiling, either connected to the way we have our hair, the clothes that we have on. Is often a common experience, for men of color in particular. But thank you for sharing that very clear example of being policed based on appearance. With that in mind, what would advocacy or collective impact look like in your position when it comes to the non-discrimination against hairstyle choices of men of color? So if we're thinking about where you are in your position, what does advocacy look like when it comes to non-discrimination against hairstyle choices for men of color? If anyone would like to start us off with that, actually, Dr. Monk, I'm gonna come to you with
Why?
your position. Why? Because I just feel like in your position, you should have some thoughts about what it would look like to advocate for, non-discrimination based on hair, with the people that you work with. So do you have any thoughts?
I would say that I'm a true believer in modeling the way, right? So I wear my hair like this. Matter of fact, you know what?
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Feel like I let my hair down with y'all.
Yeah.
You know. I think that you just model for folks. You know, Keelan, did I say it right? Kellen. He talked about the journey when his hair didn't look like it's looking now with the nice box braids. And when you got locks, it's the same way, maybe even worse. Like there's some times when you get up in the morning, you're like, I don't know if I'm going to go to work today. And, as a male with locks, I don't necessarily have the luxury of like putting on a wrap or anything like that. I mean, you got to go out like it is, and so I'm happy with it today and I love it today. But I didn't love it through the entire journey. And I think that it's just being supportive, modeling, looking people in their eyes and just recognizing what they're trying to do in their own self-expression.
Thank you. Any other thoughts on ways to advocate from your place of positionality, so that we eliminate hair-based discrimination?
I would like to add on because I go to a predominantly Black school, and I just like to say, I love how the people at my school just can express themselves and have their hair however they want and not be judged as of now. I just feel like this is what society should be like all around the world, but it's kind of hard to see that now. And I believe that with how we are trying to make a change in the world, if we just get enough people to get on board with it, we can make a change and stop the discrimination against like professional work style hair. Like as you can see, Dr. Monk, he just let down his hair and it's nothing different than him having his hair pulled back. He's still professional. And I just feel like
Say it for the people in the back.
as I said, he just let down his hair and he's still professional instead of having it pulled back. And how I have my hair down, still professional. And I just want to say that no matter how you wear your hair, you can still be professional and still be successful in life.
All right. Any other thoughts on that before we transition? Just want to make sure.
I would just say exactly what we're doing now, right? Making sure that we understand that the things throughout our history that haven't been kind of publicized are, right? When you say like, what does it look like when hair is policed? Most of our society hasn't had that experience, right? So having a form where we can say, this is what policing of hair looks like. This is what it feels like. This is how it has effects on the way that we grow. So I think that having a time where we can share these experiences for those who may not have been through it is definitely beneficial.
All right. So with that, I'd like to conclude with this question, and I need everyone to answer this question. What do you love most about your hair? You can just respond to that, or you can also respond to the second question. How has it allowed you to redefine masculinity or your identity? So what do you love most about your hair? And how does it allow you to redefine masculinity and or your identity? All right. So any volunteers to go first? Michael, I want to start with you. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I guess I love how thick it is. God forbid I lose it, I mean, it allowed me to redefine my identity. I'm able to grow it how long I want it to. to grow, or have it short as I want it to be. You know, in the Hispanic community, if you have longer hair, you know, you're not really seen as I guess, a man. You know, um, if you're not able to keep it short and tight, you know, it makes you they see you less of as a man. You know, so I kind of prove them wrong by keeping it how long I want it to be.
I can jump in. So I can growing like again in my life, using my hair as a form of expression, or like redefining masculinity. Being an athlete, I would, you know, cut my hair into a mohawk sometimes, or I would at times like put designs in it, you know, be more aggressive. So in essence, I was using it as kind of like, you know, like battle marks, or making sure that my culture came through when I was running, or whenever we went out of state. You know, running from a school in New York, going around the country, I made sure that I would tell my barber, like, yo, bro, I'm going to Cali, right? So he would be like, all right, I got you, you know. So like the mohawk would have different kind of like, you know, textures in it, or different levels, so that when I went outside of my community, I was representing my community. People would ask questions, but oftentimes I was very intimidating, right? Because I was able to kind of show my aggression through my hair. But as far as defining masculinity, it kind of like Mike said, expressing yourself in various different ways and redefining what masculinity is by having curly hair, or having hair longer, or having, you know, locks, or having hair that kind of flows down your back. For me, being able to change it up, like in the summertime, having like a fro hawk, or in the wintertime, kind of cutting it low, being able to dictate my style based off of my hair, I feel is a privilege.
Thank you.
I don't really know how to come behind it, since I can't really change my style too much without looking like George Jefferson. Um, but I do love most about my hair is just being able to just be me, you know, having the ability to just be me, the purest form of myself and the realest form of myself. Like it or love it, this is what you get and this is what you have. So I really don't care what the world views me as being masculine or not being masculine, or what they view the next person as being masculine or not being masculine. You are who you are. Project who you are and be confident in who you are, and forget the rest.
I look good, Dr. Bullock.
We know Dr. Monk.
Okay. That's it. That's it.
I guess on last, I can say that I really love my hair and how free it is and how I can just style it however I want. I can go with a afro, I can go with locks, I can go with braids, twists, anything I want for real. And I just feel like I can express myself to the point where I don't have to feel discriminated no more. I feel like the community I live in is safe enough for where I can express myself and how I can just present myself to the world right now. And at sometimes it has been seen that if you do have your hair down instead of pulled back, you're messy, unprofessional. But at other times, there has been times where I can wear my hair as I want and people will still accept me for me.
At this time, if there are some questions from our audience, we have a microphone available for people to come up and ask questions. But as people are coming up, if you have any questions, I just want to commend this panel again. You know, even when I was just sitting here thinking about like masculinity and stuff, when Dr. Monk made his comment, it's like sometimes we have trouble affirming each other as men. And I'm just being a little vulnerable right now. So we want to give it up for this fresh panel of men that we have up here. I am going to acknowledge Dr. Monk's freshness. We need to delete this footage so that it does not come up again. So we're going to edit that out. All right, IT, we're going to work on editing that out. Thank you. But yes, just want to affirm our men who joined us up here today. So at this time, if we do not have any questions for the audience, I'm going to invite Well, one, let's give once again a round of applause for our panelists, for our students, our teachers, our administrators who did such a phenomenal job here today. And I want to invite Mr. Tony Cunningham up here so that he can give us our crown charge. So Mr. Cunningham from Public Affairs is going to give us our charge.
All right, good evening, everyone. All right, so I was given the task of giving the crown charge. Now, when creating this crown charge, the first thing that came to mind is freedom. Freedom can be defined as the power or the right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. The Crown Act was designed to empower and provide the right to be free. Free from discrimination because of hair texture. Free from being criminalized by the people that do not have the power to rock the same hairstyles as we do. Free to allow our crown, just like queens and kings, to be a representation of the power that we possess. This act empowers our people to have the freedom to simply exist. No longer do our children have to worry about a teacher pulling them out of class or sending them over to the side because of their hair. No longer do our girls have to almost fry their scalps just to feel accepted and avoid getting in trouble in school. No longer are the long locks that flow from our scalps, the 4C texture that we may possess, the colors that we add to make ourselves pop. No longer is our God-given hair a barrier between the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness we've been guaranteed by law. Black is beautiful, and so is our hair. So today I urge you to wear your crown with pride. You have long, wavy hair, wear your crown with pride. You have tight coils, wear your crown with pride. You like your hair in braids and twists, wear your crown with pride. Is your crown red, orange, yellow, pink, blue, whatever? Wear your crown with pride. Nothing is dreadful about your locks. Wear your crown with pride. You may have no hair at all, still wear that crown with pride. You have the freedom to be. Hold your head up, walk with confidence, and wear your crown with pride. Thank you.
They better shouting, y'all. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Cunningham, for such a rousing crown charge for us. At this time, we're going to give a token of appreciation to each of our panelists. So thank you to our panelists for such powerful words filled with conviction, power, and some humor. You have really given us much to think about this evening and have truly left our cups full. Once again, round of applause for our panelists, y'all. So we do have some gift bags for you backstage, so you will be able to grab those on your way out. My hope is that we will all leave this event with not only a better understanding of the importance of the Crown Act and its impact on the lives of boys or men of color, but that we are also re-energized and rejuvenated to commit or recommit to making sure that equitable and learning and working environments exist for boys and men of color, not only in DPS, but in our community at large. I hope that we will leave this event feeling reassured, heard, and seen. As we prepare to bring today's event to an end, we will now hear from Ms. Alicia Worthy, Curriculum Instructional Management Coordinator for Durham Public Schools. Ms. Worthy, if you could come forward.
Good evening. Has this not been an awesome event? Let us give the panelists and the event another big round of applause. It has been a great Crown Act week. I really hope that everyone has been following. Students have been taking pictures and posting with all that is going on. please acknowledge, and we just want to thank our committee that put this whole week together, Mr. Cunningham, who you just heard, Dr. Adahor, Dr. Bullock, Ms. Fort, who's out there, Ms. Oliver, who's out there, myself, and Javanya Lewis, who, thank you for saying Ms. Valadares could not be here with us. So let's just give them a round of applause. We've been meeting and working hard, and we just really are glad that this has turned out well. Thank you to those who came on Tuesday. Again, thank you for those who have come tonight and to our awesome panelists. And please keep the conversation going about the Crown Act. Don't let it just be about this week as we celebrate here in Durham Public Schools, but as you go out next week and as we celebrate Women's History Month, and let us continue the conversation and not have discrimination for our girls or our boys based on their hair. Thank you all so much for coming, but please don't leave. We are going to allow Dr. Adahor to please come forward. And again, thank you to the Office of Equity and Professional Development for putting on this event. Dr. Adahor.
Thank you, Ms. Worthy. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I have my colleague, friend, Ms. Robinson. So he didn't know we were going to do this, but if we can have Dr. Bullock come out. And so on behalf of our team, our district, we just want to thank you. We have several gifts for you. Everyone else, you pick your gifts up after. But thank you, Dr. Bullock, for your support, your mentorship. So this is for you. Feel free to share. And we do have our amazing community partner right there in the back with his amazing, beautiful, precious son. The son stayed quiet for the whole entire event. So thank you, panelists, and thank you, Dr. Bullock, for all of your engagement. This is from our community partner from Black and Belonging on behalf of Dr. Gray.
Give us a sneak peek.
One of our panelists has asked for a sneak peek. So shout out to Dr. Gray. He's a professor at North Carolina State University, and he also works with our Young Scholars program that we have in conjunction with Duke University. But they have, Dr. Gray has a program entitled Black and Belonging. And so I think I have some swag in here from Black and Belonging. And it is wrapped very well. So for the sake of time, I'm just gonna hold this up. But thank you, Dr. Gray, and thank you to my team who surprised me with this. I did not know they were doing this. And also shout out to them because they put a lot of time and effort into organizing tonight's event. So please give a round of applause for Dr. I and Ms. Robinson also. Thank y'all. We'll get y'all tomorrow. All right. So with that, we are bringing our evening to a close. We thank everyone who has joined us this evening, our Board of Education members, our cabinet members, our superintendent, Dr. Mubenga. We want to thank him. The Office of Equity Affairs, Durham Parks and Rec, who we worked with to have this space this evening, Holton Career and Resource Center, the Barber program here at Holton and at Durham Performance Learning Center. Shout out to them. We have several students from their class here this evening. We thank Ms. Beckett for her performance this evening, to Academic Services, Operational Services. We have a DJ a student who was DJing this evening who works with one of our educators in our We Are Kings program. So shout out to them. And just a thank you to all of our participants. Favor Desserts, we have some desserts from Favor Desserts that you can grab on the way out. So shout out to our community partners, Photo Booth Therapy, Too Much Bling. So many people that we were able to work with to bring this to fruition. So we are so thankful for all of them. I want to thank my family for always being here to support. Yep. Thank y'all. And with that, we will close for our evening. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time at the next Crown Act event or any other events hosted by the Office of Equity and Professional Learning. You all have a great evening. Thank you.